Have you ever wondered what it's like in a day of a life of an investment banking analyst? Have you ever wondered what it's like to work from home as an investment banking analyst? Well, today I'm going to show you what I do from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. A little bit of a background: I work at a bulge bracket bank in New York City. My typical hours start at around 9 to 9:30 in the morning on a typical day and ends at around midnight or 1 a.m., sometimes later, depending on what type of week it is. Additionally, because of the whole current situation in the world, I am at home in the West Coast, but still working on East Coast times. So technically, I'm waking up at around 6 a.m., maybe at around 5 something a.m. on most days in order to start the day at 9 a.m. Eastern time. To preface with a bit of a disclaimer, and those of you in the investment banking industry may totally understand, is that every single day is a little bit different. It really depends on what you're working on, what projects you're on, if they are cross-border deals, which means you might have to get up earlier or stay up later. This all kind of changes your workflow and your day-to-day. So today I'm just going to be presenting a very generic, typical day in the life. I will set my alarm for around 6 a.m., sometimes even earlier if there is an early morning meeting that we have to turn comments on. But for the most part, this is the time that I get up. I will check my phone as soon as I wake up, just in case there's any last minute things that I should get to straight away. Then I will start getting ready. This is obviously the typical things that everyone does, or at least should be doing, such as brushing your teeth, putting on your contacts if you need to, washing your face, getting dressed, all of those things. After that, I will start and try to plan out my day. Again, like I mentioned, it's very hard to have a very similar day, but I try to look at my calendar, try to plan ahead, what are my priorities, and that is one of the key things in this industry. There are always so many projects going on with different deadlines, and sometimes everyone wants everything ASAP. Everything is urgent because it is client-facing, it's external, so it's up to you to really shift and be able to course correct throughout the day. For example, what I write down in the morning will likely shift by the time it reaches nighttime, and that's perfectly okay. Sometimes there's a last-minute inbound that needs to be done as soon as possible, and that will obviously take precedent. I'm typically not super hungry in the morning, so I will skip breakfast and really opt for a bigger lunch later on, but I try to get myself some water or tea, go and start at my computer. There tends to be different types of projects and different types of meetings that I'll have throughout the day. In terms of projects, I categorize them as live deals, which are the most important because those are your executionary services. There's also pitches, and this could come in the form of just relationship management, meeting up with them on a frequent basis. So if there is something actionable that they want to do, such as a big deal, then they will invite your bank to join in something called a bakeoff or something along those lines. Another type of pitch that I just mentioned is called a bakeoff. This is where multiple banks will compete for the mandate, or most likely the lead left bookrunner spot. This means that that bank is in charge of running the whole process, making sure that it's executed to the T. These live deals tend to be the busiest. And there are two different types of meetings. Sometimes you'll have an internal call with your deal team to kind of organize and coordinate, figure out who's doing what are the next steps, etc. There are also external client meetings where you have typically already put together the materials for. This might not be typical of all banks, but for the most part, I am invited to at least listen in on these client meetings, and we'll take notes, figure out if there are any follow-ups, and what the next courses of action are. At around noon, 1 p.m., sometimes 2 p.m. or later, depending on how crazy the day is, I will stop and grab some lunch. This is either leftovers or sometimes I'll just order from a delivery app just to make it quick and easy. For us, it's very typical to eat at our desk. I will bring my food to my desk and eat as I continue to work. Maybe throughout the rest of the day, there are pages that we're trying to put together for an upcoming pitch that same week, or something that's upcoming for the following week. My associate or VP may give me instructions, and I will start turning those, updating the materials, and then ultimately send it to them for a review. Once they have reviewed, I have turned their comments, and once I get their sign off, we can send it off to the managing director, who will take a look and likely have more comments. Activities that tend to break up the day include having networking calls. This is what I did when I was trying to get an internship. Networking is huge in this industry, and this is how I got an offer. I'm sure this is how a lot of other people got an offer, especially if you come from a non-target school. I will try my best to go outside and do a quick little walk if I can. This does not always happen, but it is good to get some fresh air and sunlight. If I have questions throughout the day, I will also call up one of the members in my class and maybe we'll just discuss. And that's another tip I have for anyone who's incoming, is to get as close as you can to the people who you're working with. I know a lot of environments may be more competitive than others, but I have been very fortunate to have a very tight-knit class where we are very supportive, very collaborative, and also generally just friends. Towards the evening, there tends to be less meetings. If there are any, they are either cross-border calls with the client or they are internal to plan. A lot of times, if the managing director goes to bed or is done for the day, we will try to get something to his or her inbox by the next morning, and this means turning comments overnight so they can review in the early morning when they wake up. So a lot of this evening time is spent working on projects, just making sure you're updating and putting together the materials as they have instructed. A couple other exceptional things that may happen throughout the day, and this is something I like to call fire drills. These are exactly as they sound, in which there is some urgent inbound and it needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. That's where you drop everything else and you go and try to put out that fire. Again, kind of depending on when I have time or get to take a breather, I will go and eat some dinner. I usually try to make it a home-cooked meal. Near the end of the day, if I have some time, I will try to work out or call a friend, or hang out with my roommates or my family, depending on where I'm at. If not, might be a later day, might work until late in the morning, and that's when you go to bed. Yep. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit a like and subscribe. And thanks again for hopping aboard the choo-choo train.